This is a Hutch Post podcast news update.
On Thursday morning, Lyons, Little River, and Sterling fire departments responded to 117 East Washington in Lyons for a house fire. Smoke was found pushing out through the roof vents when crews arrived. Entry was made. No one was found during any searches of the residence. The fire started in the basement and ran up the walls into the attic. The cause was determined to be electrical in nature in the basement. No one was hurt. Estimated losses, $60,000 to the structure, $30,000 to the contents. Both the upstairs and the downstairs were occupied by renters. The French National Rail Company says high-speed lines have been hit with arson attacks that heavily disrupted traffic on the day of the high-risk Olympics opening ceremony. Lines in the west, north, and east of France were affected. The rail operator said government officials denounced the incidents hours before the opening ceremony of the Paris Olympics, which are happening around France, so there was no immediate sign of a link to the games. Prosecutors have opened an investigation. They say the crimes could carry a 20-year sentence and fines of hundreds of thousands of euros. An unidentified body found Monday on the Missouri side of the state line north of the Kansas City area has been identified as a man from Kansas, 25-year-old Josiah Papa of Leavenworth. That statement from Smithville, Missouri police. On July 22nd, police responded to a report of a body of a white male in a densely vegetated area. A search warrant was obtained for a nearby residence. Papa was reported missing back on July 12th. Vice President Kamala Harris met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to talk about the war in Gaza. The conversation on Thursday came days after she launched her White House campaign, forcing Harris to confront one of the most divisive issues within the Democratic Party. Harris has not deviated from President Joe Biden's approach. A Great Bend woman was injured in an accident just after 1 Thursday afternoon in Pratt County. The Kansas Highway Patrol reported a 1995 Freightliner semi driven by 72-year-old James Griffith of Iuka was southbound on US 281 just south of McClellan Street in Iuka when the semi rear-ended a 2016 Chevy Equinox driven by 71-year-old Guy Knipe of Great Bend. Knipe was attempting to turn onto Summer Street. EMS sent a passenger in the SUV identified as 91-year-old Dorothy Pyland of Great Bend to the Pratt Hospital. Knipe had a minor injury. He and Griffith were not transported for treatment. All three were buckled up, according to the KHP. Donald Trump is due to talk face-to-face with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for the first time in nearly 4 years. In the meeting planned for Mar-a-Lago on Friday, Trump will seek to mend ties that were damaged at the end of his presidency and cast himself as an ally and statesman. For Trump, now the Republican presidential nominee for 2024, the meeting could help sharpen efforts by Republicans to portray themselves as the party most loyal to Israel. For Netanyahu, repairing relations with Trump is imperative, given the prospect he may again become president of the United States. The U.S., of course, Israel's main arms supplier and protector. After failing to pay taxes, it agreed to and granted various business licenses to operate within Prairie Band Potawatomi Nation's jurisdiction. Prairie Band officials were in the process of enforcing compliance from a travel plaza on the nation's tribal land when the Jackson County Sheriff threatened to arrest tribal police and tax commission officials for criminal trespass. They say that violates the nation's sovereignty and the rule of law that protects it, and they are suing Jackson County Sheriff Tim Morse and the Sheriff's Department as a result. When you're away from your radio, hear the latest newscasts, sports, and more on demand with the podcast page at HutchPost.com.